I. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any changes to the agenda this evening?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if there's no objections, I'd like to add budgets to old business.
That'd be number 4.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any other
I make
agenda items? No?
a motion, we accept the November 26, 2024 meeting as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The public participation policy applies to all selectmen meetings. A copy of this is in the back of each agenda, posted outside this meeting room and on our website. In observation of Thanksgiving, the office will be closed Wednesday, November 27th, and Thursday, November 28th. The public hearing will be at 6:05. Until then, we'd like to go to any public input on agenda items only. Anybody has anything for the agenda they'd like to comment on? Would you like to come up? Oh, okay. Okay, seeing no one, will close the public input. We only have a few minutes. Who wants, oh, I'm sorry. Come on up, give us your name. I'll reopen the public input. Sit right down and give us your name again and.
Bud Newhouse,
How you doing?
8 Ginny Drive. Great. I was just, I didn't know how this worked. It was just, we were here seeing about renting the bandstand out in the middle of the day to get married next October. And I had written a letter. I don't know if you got it or not.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We did.
And I didn't know if that was something I needed to speak about right now or.
No, but we'll be having you. You are on the agenda.
Okay.
So
all right.
we'll, when we get to that, which is going to be only the second item
Okay.
on tonight's new business.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public input and we got about 2 minutes to wait for 6:05.
Somebody doing Jeopardy back?
Yes,
I heard
we-
Jeopardy.
Well, it sounds like we're gonna have some excitement for weather on Thanksgiving. I hope everybody travels safely. Got about a minute. Okay, we'll open this up to the public hearing for the acceptance of Dobbins Way as a town road. So introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is, excuse me, Stephen Nix. I'm representing 74 Valley Road LLC, who is the developer. Dave Fuller's with us tonight. The reason that we're here is to ask the town to accept Dobbins Way. Excuse me, to lay out Dobbins Way under our section 5 of the road policy. The reason that we're not doing the acceptance is because when this subdivision was originally approved in 2009, the ownership of the road wasn't retained by the developer. They didn't understand at that time what was happening. So under common law, when the lots are sold, the lots actually own half the road. So the easiest way to deal with that is to have the selectmen lay the road out under section 5. And I'm not gonna get into legal technicalities. I wrote it all down and it's in the papers. So that is why we're here. There's many of the lot owners are here. The houses are built, the road was built to town standards. It was inspected, all of the security was put in place. And the subdivision is basically built out at this point. Beyond that, I submitted a written document that I'll let the selectmen, I assume everybody has read it. So I won't go through all that again. So we can get this moving. We would ask that the selectmen lay this highway out as a public highway. And I just want to say that all of the owners over there have waived damages. So there's no damages that are due for this particular layout. Questions for me?
Okay. Actually, at this time, I really don't, because most of everything that you said, we went through and looked through. The only thing I was gonna ask if our road agent would come out and if you had any other input to add to it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, just to add for the record and the rest of the board members that this whole packet did go to legal, town legal.
Mhm.
Legal did review it and was satisfied with all the documentation and how it was presented.
Thank you.
How's it going?
Good. How you- Thanks. What can you tell us about, as far as everything? I know everything has been looked at, everything's been documented, everything seems to be, as it should be for the class 5, standard, for the town.
Is it
ready
to take over?
Yeah, right. And looking at our policy and everything that they have already done and looking at the road itself, it appears to be everything's been followed through with it. Everything's up to spec and it's a nice looking road. A lot of nice houses and a nice area. I don't know. The only question I guess I would have is the cul-de-sac and the garden in the center would maintain that, whether that would be ours or, and it could have been something I just overlooked in the plans.
Mhm.
So.
I wouldn't think that would be part of the maintenance of the road itself, as far as the garden in the center. I'm not thinking that would be a responsibility of the town. I'm not sure what the rest of the selectmen would think on that. I wouldn't think that would be part of.
Right, I just
re-
wasn't sure what the intentions were, if it was the, was that part to be part of the road and maintained in that way?
Mhm.
Um,
I would assume it would just be paved surfaces.
Just yeah.
Right.
No, it's a grass circle, it's a nice cul-de-sac, like I said,
Mhm.
it's just maintaining it in the way that it is now is a little bit more than we do for an average town road.
Right.
When it
How big
is
is that grassed area?
Oh, it's gonna be close to a 50-foot circle, it's not overly large, it's
Mhm.
appropriate, it's just,
Okay,
there's a flagpole in the middle of it,
Mhm.
well off the road, not an issue for plowing or anything like that.
okay.
Like I said, again, just the maintenance of it. Was that gonna fall under the highway department or is that still that section in the middle retained by a property owner?
Again, I wouldn't think that would be the responsibility of the town to mow that particular area.
Okay.
Would be maintaining the paved areas.
Right, okay. That was just my only thing I saw, and like I said, it might have been in the plans, I just didn't see it.
Okay. Any other questions or anything?
No, I don't know what the record is for most paperwork supporting an application, but this has got to be in the top 5.
Always big.
Thank you.
I'd like to get a little clarification. You'd said earlier that you were not looking for acceptance of the road, you just want approval of the layout? Did I mishear that?
Mhm.
No, you didn't mishear that. I heard the same thing.
Yeah, I believe
That was
you want
Mr. Nick.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you said the layout for a public highway. Thank you. Thank you, Seth.
Yeah, I apologize. There's in New Hampshire, there's 4 ways a road can become a public road. One is by prescription, 20 years. That's not this road. One is if the town owns the property and builds the road on it, that's not this road. One is dedication and acceptance. And dedication is when it's shown on the plan and then the town accepts the road. And the fourth way is by layout, which is an eminent domain proceeding. Generally, dedication and acceptance is the way it's done. But in Alton, Alton requires that a deed be provided to the town under that scenario, the acceptance scenario. Because the ownership of the underlying road wasn't retained by the developer, it would be a monumental task to get a deed for that. We'd have to get every single landowner, every single mortgagee, it would just be a mess. It's easier if the selectmen go through the layout process, which is in fact an eminent domain process. You're saying, yeah, we will lay this road out. But in this case, even though the word eminent domain, is sort of a bad word, all of the lot owners out there have waived any damages at all. And they're asking you to do this. It's a legal technicality, is what
Okay.
it is.
So when I sat on the planning board, this came before us. And there was a potential buyer of one of the lots, and there was a conflict with the location of the road relative to their lot line. So I assume that has all been resolved and worked out and.
Yes, there was a boundary line adjustment that was.
All the front pins, everything is in.
Yeah, there were some boundary line adjustments that added some land to the road and shifted some boundary lines around, so the road surface, the physical road is in the right of way.
Okay.
Yep.
So all of that has been now recorded and.
Yep,
and-
it's all
okay.
recorded and.
And you're okay with the understanding that we will not maintain the center section?
Yeah, I'm not completely up on that, but I just asked my client and he said that the lot owners maintain that.
Okay.
And so in the rest of the public hearing, maybe somebody can come up and say that
Okay,
they would maintain it,
okay.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, any further questions or, any comments, further comments? So, okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Oh,
It's a gentleman that wants.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Come
point of
on.
order, I think we should open to public.
yeah, come on in, come on up.
Yes, the mics are on. Come up and introduce yourself, and you're right. I jumped over public input.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jim Kowalik. My wife Beverly and I are owners of 78 Dobbins Road, Dobbins Way, sorry.
Mhm.
And a couple of my questions are probably for the road agent or someone that's representing the highway department. I don't know if anybody from the highway department is present here today.
Be Seth.
But I
Public
can,
Works Director.
sorry.
Our Public Works Director that was up
Oh,
here.
okay. What was your name again? Seth. Okay. So should I address my questions to Seth?
You can address them to us.
Okay, so regarding, we are the cul-de-sac. We are the only house currently occupying the cul-de-sac area.
Mhm.
Although if I was to legally look at the line, my next neighbor to the left of me, the line does cut into the middle a little bit of that cul-de-sac. And it also contains the area that Seth referred to as the garden. What's there for the garden is the builder put up a flagpole and there are 3 Christmas trees around it. And myself and my neighbor to the left of me, Steve, do maintain it. We've actually put up lights to keep the flag illuminated and things like that. And I have kind of taken over kind of mowing it. It is kind of a grassy field, but I still will mow it to keep it looking nice.
Very good.
The biggest question I had was he mentioned something about the cul-de-sac is larger or longer. Is it larger than normally that the town maintains? Is there,
It's just a lot nicer is what he described. So the cul-de-sacs in town that I've seen before have just been straight grass. They've had nothing in the centers.
Nothing in the center,
okay.
usually.
So one of the questions I did have which may not be addressed to you people, is I'd like to probably try to find out what criteria the town does use for plowing such a cul-de-sac. Because one of the things that can happen, depending on who plows, the circumference of the cul-de-sac may or may not allow a certain size plow truck to do it one way versus another. So the one way that seems to be most detrimental to myself and my wife on our land is if it's plowed so that all the snow goes to the outside, it will pile up about 4 feet high along my mailbox and my driveway, which is not that bad of a thing because I could clear that pretty easily. But what happens is during the storms where it turns to ice and then it gets plowed, and then I'm trying to snow blow or shovel giant packs of ice, and it doesn't work too well. So that'll probably be a question I can try to maybe address to the highway department. Would we be able to create some kind of discussion directly with the highway department?
I believe that's typically done by the plow truck that's on that route. Seth?
Seth, could you come up, please? Sorry. Just so everybody can hear you.
Hi, Seth. I'm Jim.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so Alton utilizes a couple different size trucks to plow. Adding a road to the routes would reconstruct our routes, and I'm not sure exactly which truck does that route right now, but we could do it in multiple different ways. If it is one of the larger trucks, typically the snow comes off the right side of the truck and you go around the circle and you're out. If it is done with one of the smaller trucks, then it might need to make 2 passes to do that loop. That being said, half the snow would go to the middle, so. Other than that.
That would be good. So maybe, so that was one of my questions, was you just answered, was how much equipment you had that would be allowed to do that subdivision and the cul-de-sac.
Right.
You have enough equipment. then-
Yeah, to plow, that would be one. Yeah, it would be one truck. There's already a truck out that way. An issue, but yeah, just adding it to the route.
Okay, great. The only other item that we're kind of a little bit concerned with is the way the road entrance is along Valley Road. Are you familiar with that?
Okay, yeah.
So it's a fairly narrow road. Stockbridge Corner, Valley Road are both fairly narrow.
Right.
And with the current configuration of the entrance and exit of Dobbins Way, it requires a lot of snow movement to create the best line of sight. It's kind of limited as is. And again, maybe we could set up a private meeting with the highway department and go over some of these things about what their usual plan is to keep that line of sight good, going
Right.
both directions.
Yeah. So pulling off of Dobbins, I did see that there's a little bit of a line of sight. It's kind of muted by that corner there. But typically that is part of our winter operations, is to go around and maintain intersections, pushing back snow, making sure that line of sight is maintained. So that would be something that would be taken care of, especially if we're going to be turning onto Dobbins. It'll help us. We'd be able to
Yeah.
set that snowbank back.
Okay, well-
Cutting down the tops of the snowbanks as well. and
Correct,
you guys
yeah,
do,
shelving, when a truck's out shelving, we could then roll into Dobbins and then that would create a better line of sight, kind of maintain more of a open field of view.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you're aware, because it's probably only happened once or twice, but that entrance there is a ditch with a culvert.
Yep.
But it tends to kind of flood right there.
Okay.
That very last heavy rain we had, it was probably 6 or 8 inches, about a maybe
In that
10 meter pile of water. So the only other question is kind of related, during like a really severe storm, what's like the priority for like a subdivision itself?
Well, they're already gonna be headed, the trucks stay to their routes. They obviously get dispatched out if if a truck breaks down or any kind of mechanical. Any kind of mechanical mishap happens, but it'll definitely stay in the same priority as Stockbridge and Valley Road, and that truck will stay on that route.
And on the sign, there's a sign that has P for private. Is that going to be changed?
That would have to be changed. I'm not sure if that sign, if the P can just be removed off that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can, yeah, sometimes the
Right
vinyl
off.
allow you to take the P off. Yeah.
And I appreciate you answering my questions. The only other last question is it the highway department to call when there was a snow emergency or somebody's wants to have some action done to clear the line of sight?
Yeah, if you see a deficiency or you have a question or a concern, definitely you can address it to the highway department. If it's after hours, you could address it to Belknap County Dispatch or the local PD. And that would get a response from
Who's the highway department director? Do you?
me.
You? Oh, well, there you go. You're the guy. Okay.
Is the
Uh,
boss.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Good to meet you and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Come on up. Again, please introduce yourself.
Rob Matzel, I live at 61 Dobbins. Just how soon would you guys take over? Like after this week? It's supposed to snow this week, so just.
Generally, it wouldn't be quite immediate. I think it would be at least a couple of weeks.
I don't. Yeah, if they
You-
accept it tonight, then.
So
they'll-
that
they're
would
gonna
be
have
right
to-
on the schedule then,
They're gonna.
if we have anything tomorrow or the next day, if.
Yeah, I'm not trying to push it.
Yeah.
No, I know, I'm just,
Okay.
just interested, that's all.
Not if it's gonna snow. No, just.
This will go to next year.
I couldn't resist.
That was good.
That was quick.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. So that answers your question, yes. It will be if this does it accepted, it would be the next storm. Okay.
This will be a class 5, right?
This is a class 5.
I will make a motion. We accept Dobbins Way as a subdivision, class 5 road
Just
Second.
just.
For layout,
record.
for layout.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
for layout as a public road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's right.
We don't have any appointments this evening.
No, we don't.
Okay,
We'll probably have to get them in it.
I am. Yeah.
You sure?
There's a lot of support there. How many homes?
We have 20, I think.
Good, how are you? Have a good
Have a
night.
good evening.
See you, Dana.
So CIP is the first
Yeah, CIP is next. I think Frank's not here though. I don't see Frank.
Take care. You too.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a nice Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, big guy.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna say, if everybody can keep.
Ryan's, somebody else.
Thank you, everyone.
Trickling out.
Yeah. Okay, moving to new business. CIP.
You don't mind, Mr. Chairman, if I sit
Yes.
down? Good evening, gentlemen. I did contact, I'm not sure, what the chairman of the CIP committee must not have been able to make it tonight. We had arranged for him to speak. But I just figured I'd give you a quick overview. One of the things with CIP, just to remind you, is, the capital improvements program is, a guideline for the Board of Selectmen. It's a recommendation from the committee based on presentations from the department heads on capital reserves, only with regards to long-term purchase items.
Hey, can you
Can-
guys move downstairs for me? Can you?
Excuse me, could you please move down? Thank you, chief. Thank you, chief.
All right, go ahead, Brian, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And yeah, you know. So I just figured since we have it on the agenda, all the paperwork is with you. I was able to sit in on the public hearing where the chairman spoke to the planning board. And this plan as presented was accepted and they motioned to move it forward to the Board of Selectmen. So just looking at the plan real quickly, we also included Laura, the finance manager, put together a list of current balances in all the capital reserves. So this individual sheet that's to get stapled together has a list of all your capital reserves and what the total balance is after 2024 appropriations and expenses as of 11/25. So going down through, these recommendations were brought forward by the department heads, then discussed with the committee. Some were increased based on the need, some were decreased based on the need or how immediate the need was or how much time we could sort of allow it to space out. So just going down, looking forward, fire department equipment, capital reserve. The request this year is going to be $300,000. That is consistent with years in the past. As you know, the fire department has a lot of very expensive and specialized equipment between their breathing units, and some of their rescue equipment, that they need to carry on the rigs, things of that nature, plus EMS supplies, not supplies, but equipment. So we do usually have a healthy request for that each year to make sure that, you know, in the time of need that the chief can access and the board can authorize the expenditure to cover any expensive replacements that we need to do. Moving on from there, there is the next one is the
Highway?
no, well, the highway, there's the balance of the other fire department capital reserves, and that's like the building items,
Mhm.
not vehicles. This one does move on to the highway department. The highway equipment capital reserve, again, for the heavy equipment, the request this year is 150,000, which is actually lower than years in the past. We've kind of lowered that request since we recently purchased quite a bit of new equipment. As you see, as the years go forward, there is a jump up to 250, and that's based on what the Public Works Director is presenting on replacement of certain equipment item that will age out at that point. Grounds and maintenance, going on to that. You have grounds and maintenance, equipment, vehicle and equipment purchase capital reserve. Excuse me, the request this year would be 45,000. And that was consistent with last year proposal, and that's based on, it does go down to 20,000, and that's based on their replacement schedule on their vehicles. Moving forward. Parks and Recreations, Capital Reserve, the request this year is for 12.5. Again, that's consistent with maintaining the field, Jones Field.
Mhm.
And you'll see that it bumps up in 26 and 27 to 20 grand, but then goes back down to 10 grand. And that's because of projects that were presented by the Parks and Rec Director. Now, the next one, Assessing Department and Building Department. They both have independent capital reserves, and that's for future replacement or repair of the building pickup truck and the assessing pickup truck. As you see, the request for both of those is $3,500 apiece. And that's based on the fact that we've been able to get a good life out of those vehicles and they're still going very strong. And we just recently, after John retired, we swapped the gray vehicle for the white vehicle. I had the lettering changed. And the assessing vehicle had far less mileage on it than the building one because of all the inspection time. So we swapped out the vehicles. So the one with the higher mileage is now taking a back seat. It's not as operational as the other one. So we anticipate being able to get quite many more years out of those. They seem to be in good shape. As far as I know.
So far.
So far, so
Yep.
I was waiting for an acknowledgement.
Mhm.
Police building expansion, CRF. This is, this CRF has been in existence for a while, but we haven't been putting any money into it. Because we had expended the money to do in expansion, or addition many years back when I was still down at the police department. The new chief had brought forward a request to put a small amount of money and start building in that because it's starting to age at the point where repairs are coming up, furnaces, things of that nature. So he wants to be prepared. So we're only asking for 10,000 this year, but the intent is to start building that up just so we can have some more money in there for the future.
Okay.
Police department equipment, capital reserve. That one, the request for that is 30,000. This is a new capital reserve that the chief has proposed this year. And the main reason for that is all of the body worn camera and camera storage. There's a lot of maintenance that's going to go along with that. We did receive a large grant. I think you remember I think it was close to 200,000 roughly. 255. So 255, we already received that money. So that's going to cover us out. I believe it's close to the first 5 years. Obviously there's going to be some long-term maintenance that we have to take over, especially with the cloud storage and other items and stuff along those ways. But this capital reserve isn't just specific to that. It's any type of equipment and replacement needs, which most departments have equipment capital reserve. The police department just didn't have one up to this point. Again, the request for that is 30,000 this year. Town hall improvements. I will make a recommendation because I was the one that presented this. The ask was 60,000 because that's what it was last year and it did not pass. I did talk to the board and I don't know, what we had agreed upon was cutting that down this year. It didn't really transpose into this. So even though the original ask was $60,000, based on the work we were able to complete this year and moving into next year, comfortable with cutting that down to 30,000. And making the request a little bit, seeing how it didn't pass last year.
Mhm.
So it'd be
Cut it down.
better to take a better swing at it this year.
Right.
And then last is, IT technology, CRF. The request this year is 35,000. And really that is just to maintain, a cycle of our PCs, our computers, laptops, any of the other information technology components. We'll say that, well, one of the big things we did this year that the board had agreed and put out an independent warrant article was the entire server replacement. So those servers are in and they're in the process of they've arrived from Dell.
They have.
And so now we're in the process of doing all the setting up and formatting. And that's basic for the town's request. The last page goes into what the school is requesting. And then if you look down at the bottom, you have the tax rate impact for the town departments, school. And then you have also the grand total for 25, 26, and that's with school and town. So they're keeping it at, as you can see, they've worked to keep it at a steady,
Yeah.
if not exact, within very minimal pennies of changing that tax impact. So for 2025, it's $1.95, but it's $1.095.
Mhm.
So it's basically $1.09 or $1.10.
The goal was to keep it under $1.10
Mhm.
when we're doing it.
Okay. So,
Okay.
all right, and I'll stop the overview with that unless there's any specific questions from the board. There is more information on the pages to follow. And basically what that is it's basically asset lists by department, bigger equipment, vehicles. You can look at what the estimated replacement value is and what it looks like the department head is recommending for a replacement schedule and how long out each vehicle or piece of equipment
And
is.
that's important. to
It
have
is.
Each and every one of the vehicles itemized and shows the year, and when they expect to replace it.
Mhm. All right. If you don't have any other questions, I'll sit back down.
No, I think that's
Just- And really, it's just
The
a,
IP committee and Frank did a great job
Yeah,
on this.
I think they did a good job. I
Good presentation too.
thank you for going in for, the chairman.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Okay, water bandstand requests. Come on up. You're on.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Thank
Please introduce yourselves.
Yes.
Maureen Passava. Nice to meet you.
Bud Newhouse. Meeting
There's no else. Okay, so are you looking to just, have your wedding, with the three of you on the, water bandstand?
Yep.
And you'd have, other people on the outsides in their boats?
Yep.
And you're also requesting the, community center
Correct.
for the reception.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct.
Any questions?
No.
I think this is pretty straightforward.
As long as there's just gonna be, I would think we had discussed this earlier. The only reason we had denied the prior one was the amount of people.
Was the amount of people that they had, and it wasn't a wedding that we, it was a birthday party. And the birthday party, they had like 25 people,
Wow.
or there, around that. It was a lot more people than what we would allow on the water
Assuming there'd
bandstand.
be in boats around you guys.
I like,
Gotcha.
we figured, like, we rent like probably a couple of pontoon boats and
Mhm.
have the guests be on there.
So you won't have any, band or anything
No,
trying to set
no,
up and do anything
no.
like that?
No.
No, we'll go back to the depot there and
Mhm.
have the reception there, and, probably, bring them stereo or whatever there for music, and, it's just a great place to, get married.
Sure it is,
You know?
of course it is. And you plan on being there probably what? Just long enough for the ceremony itself?
Right, correct. I'm thinking probably, I would think, give a 2-hour window, just with everybody loading onto the boats and then getting out there and just.
Yeah, but
No,
the actual
no.
time on the water, on the bandstand itself is probably gonna be
Oh, not very long.
not much
actually.
more than a half an hour.
No,
Right.
you got a 10-minute window. That's all you get.
Have the JP's.
Talk real fast. No, okay.
So the actual people on the bandstand, you're expecting just yourselves and the JP, is that it? And then everybody else is on a boat?
That's correct.
No, we both like history, we didn't know about, this is only, the second, well, no, there's only one of the two in the country. Do you know where the other one is, or
Not sure where the other one is. I know there's only a few in the world.
really?
When you really look at it, as far as having a bandstand in the center of the water away from the main body of land, there's not too many of them.
Because I've told a lot of people about, the airport, it's a legal,
Mhm.
registered airport, and
Yes,
they
it is.
never knew that, and which, it's
We
pretty
do like
cool.
that. It is. I
So-
like it out there, no.
Mm-hmm.
I make a motion, we accept and approve the request for using the water bandstand for a wedding venue.
Have a second.
Do we need to include the rental of the
Community center.
community center and?
Rental of the community
center?
Under the recreation, Parks and Recreation Department. But
We have a regular rental policy for that.
Okay,
The
so we're
bandstand
good.
just special requests that.
Gotcha.
it's special request just for the water bandstand. We have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
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 Thank you.
Yeah, read your letter. Boy, he's an incurable romantic. Take good care of it.
I didn't want to make it like War and Peace. I was trying to dial it back a little bit. It was cute.
Question I didn't ask. What was the date on that again?
October 18th,
October 18th.
Saturday.
Thank you.
And we're thinking like about 1 o'clock, it should be
Yeah.
warm. We're thinking the last, well, this October 18th was beautiful.
Mhm.
So we're fingers crossed on both hands that it's another day like that.
It's a wedding. We'll be more than willing to work with you.
You
No
know.
problem.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll try to arrange a couple of planes to fly over at that time.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Very-
Best of luck.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
You
You
too.
too.
Nice
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Okay, fire department, vacation carryover request.
Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Here as a request for Captain Patrick O'Brien, looking to see if he can carry over an additional 14 hours of vacation time above the allotted 96 hours. He is slated to utilize some in this last 5 weeks of the year. So it'd bring down roughly about 110 hours. He's looking for total to carry over above and beyond. Like I said, he allotted 96 currently.
Yeah, the policy is a 96-hour cap, is that correct?
Or, yeah, the fire
Or the
department,
fire
because of the
department.
48-hour work week, so allows them to carry over the 2 week, equivalent to 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
every year.
Okay.
If anyone have any questions or anything I can answer?
No, I don't have any other questions.
Seems like a reasonable thing to do, particularly all the dancing that goes on to try and
No,
support the.
everybody's been doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I
Just, I mean, due diligence, okay, it can't be like a regular occurrence. that's
No.
all. But yeah.
I stress the importance of time off
Oh,
and
yeah.
mental health and all
And
that.
everybody's
everybody's on it.
110%, so. I make a motion, we grant the carryover for Patrick O'Brien based on Chief Reinhardt's recommendation.
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, chief.
Hey, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
You too.
Hope it stays rain.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
You guys ready, Seth?
Of course they are. Of course they were ready yesterday. And good job, by the way, down with the work you had to do with the transfer. It's coming along.
Everybody bitching about everybody's else.
You're on. Old business, police department, police cruiser graphics proposals.
Good evening, gentlemen. As you recall, I was before you, I think in April or May, when we decided to purchase the Tahoes, and at that time, I recommended that we not do graphics. The ballpark figure I'd gotten to decal car was 3,000 per car. I felt that was too expensive, wasn't worthwhile. But since then, we've done some investigating, and part of that process was to try to reduce the costs. So as you know, the cars that we have now have a wrap on the door. And so if we went away from the wrap, that reduces the amount of material, amount of labor, which is part of why the cost kind of came down. So we went with a sort of more streamlined graphics package. I think a picture was included with my memo to
Yes.
you guys. To just give you kind of a visual cue on what it is. So like I said, no door wrap, it doesn't have a lot of striping and that sort of stuff, so it's pretty basic, I guess, but it gets the point across. Obviously, it's very large on the side of a Tahoe. That's also in reflective lettering, so if you see that at night, I mean, you're gonna see it from Wolfboro. So it's came out really, really pretty nice. It accomplishes what we wanted to. I believe Drew had asked me on my position on whether having marked cars or unmarked, kind of which is better, which is worse. The reality is that some operational things where an unmarked car is convenient and helpful. But the reality is we want to be seen realistically, right? So officer presence is a big thing. And I think with this decal package, I think we'll be seen. So that then comes down to, well, what's going to happen with the pricing? So you see the breakdown, we contacted I'm sorry, let me back up. The vendor that we had used to do the charges that we have now is no longer in business. So we would have had somebody having to redesign and try to match that. But anyhow, we went with basically a mock-up of what we're looking to do, just basically large block lettering and reflective graphics. So see the breakdown of the pricing, and so you see Moose Brook Signs came in at a very reasonable price of $650. And so I opted to go ahead and do that with one of the Tahoes and paid for that out of the operating budget. Two reasons. One, I wanted to see what it looked like on the actual car, instead of on a computer screen. And two, also, we want to check the craftsmanship, right? We want to make sure that he actually does a good job. And we're very happy with how it came out. And so with that, the next step of that would be if we continue down this process, I'd like to get all of the cars to look the same. There's value in that. So if you see the car, you know it's Alton PD. And also, if you, I know you guys all have seen it, that white wrap is really taken a beating. It's kind of a little bit off color. It's, so this will help spruce up those cars, especially because we're trying to keep them for a couple of extra years. And at that price that I was pretty surprised to see, I thought it was worthwhile to bring it up to you folks. And so you see that the table I put on page 2 represents all the charges that we'd be looking to swap out. So it's $650 to put the new decals on, but we'd have to get the old ones removed. And again, he was the cheapest on that at $250 per car. So you're looking at $900 when you're doing a removal and an install. And we have that throughout car 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10.
Six is $650.
Six vehicles.
Yeah,
That was
6
just an
is
install.
$650 because that's the unmarked one that we have now.
Mhm.
So I also was thinking if you were agreeable to it, that we could also attach an extra $650 for the car that's been done and put that back into the operating budget, just because it's a tough default year as it is.
So you'd be, so that's not in this 550, 100, so it'd be
Correct.
5,800.
5,800 out of the police detail revolving
Yep.
account.
Yeah, that last little portion, I kind of had my recommended motion to kind of like where I'm trying to land with it.
Yeah, down here.
I see it, yep.
Sorry.
Okay, any other questions?
How many of these cars are slated for retirement and when, how quickly?
Interesting you bring that up. So I had a difficult conversation with Nick today. He was under our hood for the unit 6, the one that doesn't have the decals currently, is in a bad way. It has a coolant leak. We're trying to diagnose exactly what that is. I got an appointment with the dealership on Friday. At this point, it doesn't look very promising for us, but we're hoping to get some good news on that. So the reality is,
I have taken that, you just looked at me, I have taken that as far as I possibly can, and I will be blatantly honest, it is not all of the outcomes, none of them are very good on this particular vehicle. Now, it's not due, it could be a manufacturer defect, it could be a couple different things, but the coolant is definitely going somewhere. So we have internal engine problems with that particular vehicle. It's I red tagged, it cannot be used anymore. And we're gonna have to, once that dealership gets back to us, we're gonna have to really figure out what to do with it, because it can't be used the way that it is. And I'll be honest with you, working across the street from them every day, that parking lot is empty. They use those cars every day, all of them. This detail, the local towns with the details has been a huge help to us, obviously. But it's cases like this, when you're talking about a car, it's got 70,017 miles on it right now, and it's not due to anything. It's just that particular vehicle has given us a little bit of trouble, and I think it's something we're gonna have to look into doing something with shortly.
Did you say it only has 7,000 miles on it?
70.
70.
Oh, 70.
But even then, I mean.
That's not much.
No, it has a lot of idle time, which is not, it's just the nature of the beast. They all do. All the cars are pretty much equivalent. I've inspected all of them this year. With the exception of this one in particular, that car has given me the biggest amount. You can attest to that, can't you, Chief?
Yeah.
That car has given me
Oh,
the
yeah.
most trouble. And
What year is this one?
that's a 2019,
Yeah,
2019.
all of the charges are 2019.
2019. That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a
I
year.
wasn't sure if it was 20 or 20.
There's two different ones. Technically, they're 18s. Half of them are 18s and half of them are 19s. They're all classified as 19s, but the manufacturer dates are 18s.
18.
So this car in particular, I mean, we'll know more on Friday, but we're gonna we do have to have something in,
Okay.
on the back burner. for
Might not,
this.
might not spend the 650 on this one. then.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
at least it'll be here if you need to, or if we have to get another car.
Exactly.
Right, and that's how, like,
Can hang on to it.
yeah, and that $800 is up to $5,800 because we
Yeah.
ended up not
Yeah.
doing it. And to get back to your question, Drew. Yes, ultimately, we're gonna be moving these through. I wouldn't really present it if it was that, you know, $3,000, $2,000, but I felt the price was reasonable enough and to keep all the cars consistent. I recognize that it could be, you know, another 2 years on those stickers, and that's all we get out of it. But to me, the consistency of it, and for any townsperson to know that that's an Alton car coming by,
Mhm.
I think it's worth the $650, but that, you're right. I mean, we're not gonna get another 10 years out of these stickers per se.
Yeah.
Looks a lot
yeah.
better than
And
black.
So I hate to keep digging up at this sore wound here, but this charger is such a nightmare. Why is this an install only? Why did it not have decals on it already?
It was not, it was
Unmarked.
Oh, it was one of the
Provide your
unmarked
car.
ones.
Will this leave your detail account in decent shape as far as anything else that might go?
Like he's commented, we've been having quite a few of them, so we're healthy on it this year, which I'm very grateful for. He saw my office today that, I was trying to figure out and get a valid number today of where we're at. All I can say is it's in a positive. I mean, we had 90 hours of detail last week, so we're doing well. I feel pretty comfortable with it.
Okay,
I don't see a problem with it for.
no. No.
I motion to approve the chief of police to expend up to $5,800 from the police detail revolving account for the removal and installation of police graphics on police department cruisers by Moosebrook Signs, with $650 of that amount to be reimbursed to the police department operating budget for expenses already incurred. Boy, that was
We
easy.
have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, gentlemen, thank you.
All right.
Have a great
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
I just have to say that I really like the old decals, but
They like-
Right at night.
I bet, I see it here. I see it in the picture.
I leave and everything changes, goes upside down. You know how that is?
That's how it always happens.
I know.
Okay. Thank you, chief.
Happy Thanksgiving, chief.
Okay, tax collector and town clerk, newfound title search contract renewal.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, tax collector and town clerk presented us with this updated contract. This is the same company that they use for existing services. I have been told that the rates have remained the same moving forward.
Okay.
They've provided good service according to the clerk,
Mhm.
and she'd like to continue utilizing.
How long
their
have we
service.
had in Nevo?
No, not Nebo, the Newfound.
Newfound, I'm
No,
sorry.
Next page.
Sorry,
That's all right.
sorry.
There you go.
I thought I had the right.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, we had switched. We had one previous contract with them.
Mhm.
We had switched the services after, we had some issues with the previous one. And, over this last contract period, Jen has been very, very happy with
Okay.
the way they've performed. Like I said, they did, the rates have stayed.
The rates have stayed the same.
When's the last time she looked around at other companies that would do this?
When we just went to this one.
Yeah.
last
Oh, we
year.
did just.
Yes, went to it.
Mhm. And that's the actual amount for preparation. What's the actual? I'm on the last page from
Oh,
Newfound
man.
Title Services. I'm on the second page.
So basically, they get a contracted pricing rate,
Mhm.
but there's no overall price
This
because
is
we never
per
know how
case.
much, yeah.
This is
yeah.
how much it's going to be per case. Right. So each one of the registry of deeds, $18.50, tax collector mail, $10, and Newfound Title mail certificates, $20.50. So that would be the amounts of each thing out of each case.
Mhm.
Don't see any negatives here.
No, no. I'll make a motion to accept the Newfound Title Search contract for 2025 for the town of Alton.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. And Finance Department Auditors Contract Renewal.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, so you have a contract renewal from Roberts and Green. Roberts and Green, we were trying to determine today exactly how long they've been with us, and we do know it's in excess of 10 years. But we don't
I knew
know
it was that
exactly how long. Yeah, so this has been the same auditing company we've used for many, many years. The rate, to tell you that, starting out for this year, the rate went to 18,250. We currently pay $18,100. They went up $150. And then it goes up $100, or excuse me, 150 in year two and just $100 in year three. But I did, the finance manager did kind of stress the point to me that working in a few different areas with different companies, that changing auditing companies with a municipality the size of ours is not really a good idea unless you really need to. Just because the cost is based on the amount of time that they take to go through our books, to run down everything that we have. And they're so familiar with the accounts that we hold and how we operate as a municipality that we've already been able to streamline our auditing process into several less
It
days.
makes sense.
And the rates aren't going high, I mean, they're going.
No, it's $150.
Yeah.
No, not going crazy.
Those rates are very reasonable.
Yeah.
They really are.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the Robertson Green proposal for the auditor's contract renewal.
Second. Discussion?
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think last year I voiced my concern about continued use of the same auditor over an extended period of time. I still have that same concern, but obviously there's much to be said for this auditor. I would ask, however, that their auditing team, whoever it be, not be the same one as last year, because my experience has been a new team or a new company, they find things and make recommendations that the same old crew doesn't see or doesn't make. And while it might cause a little bit of difficulty to familiarize a new team with our books, the benefits usually more than offset the inconvenience.
Okay.
I agree with that statement. Even having a senior member present during the audit with a junior, fresh eyes,
Yeah.
that gets rotated, that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
I will say, just to provide some additional information on that, every time that they come in, they bring their whole team with them. It's not multiple teams, but the owner of the company, the lead, is always present. And then there's usually 3, sometimes 4 of them that are working all around in the conference table all week long. So there are several. I don't know that they have any more employees besides
Oh, I see.
that, beyond that point, but they bring every single, most all of their employees are here, including the lead.
And I'm sure there's some new people that come in periodically.
We have seen new eyes. They do bring it. Obviously more of the junior auditors have changed over a few times over the years. Well, since I'm only speaking since I've been up at town hall, but it has changed up, but.
Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, old business, number 4, budgets.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if you look at the budget paperwork that was on the table for you, one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up tonight is all of the budgets that were approved by the Board of Selectmen were approved through the Budget Committee. With the exception of one, and I think I mentioned this a while back when we were talking about budgets, but the Budget Committee at the gate made the decision to increase the patriotic purposes by $12,800. The reason for that vote from them was explained that they wanted to represent the full accurate fireworks cost. We had been discounting it by paying it down for the 4th of July one because of the expense. They wanted to reflect that in full and felt it was a better idea. The reason I'm bringing it back to the board is usually we try the best we can to work between the board of selectmen and the budget committee to have an agreeing recommendation moving forward. Not to say that it has to be. The budget committee's budget ultimately is what goes forward. But there's usually not much difference. And the fact that they raised it for that reason, I thought it would warranted a discussion with the board to see whether or not you wanted to revisit this. And whether or not you would like to revote on the new amount, if you're in agreement with the budget committee's reasoning behind it. And like I said, the reason for it is when the operating warrant goes out, there's always a recommended number for the Board of Selectmen and a recommended number or against from the budget committee. And just keeping that consistent makes it a lot easier, one for the taxpayers and one for, because this is one of the budgets that's mixed in the bottom line. And realistically, not that it may happen or not, but realistically, you could have board members that won't be in favor of a $12,000 difference in the operating budget of over $10 million.
Wasn't one of the other reasons they did it too, was to prepay it all at once so that we didn't ever lose the spot, I thought? didn't
Well,
it?
that was
One of them.
that was,
one of them.
yeah, one of the big reason is we were prepaying it, or we were paying it down because the contracts were coming out the year before. And I was paying it down, so then that way, moving forward, it was really only sort of 50% of the full amount that year. And the budget committee felt that it should be fully represented. And I think we had a discussion about the possibility of putting the fireworks out, because it's, depending on who you talk to, and it's a.
Putting it out there bid.
Yeah, it's a conversation, because some people think that it's a waste, that we spend way too much money on fireworks. And other people say it doesn't matter what it costs, it's something that we need to do as a community, depending on who you say. I mean, there has come a
you ask.
time with the expenses increasing the way that they are. I mean, 4th of July is being monopolized, let's put it that way. There's only one day a year, so if you're not in line with these prices, you're not gonna find a supplier, a vendor, I should say, this big that will come do it.
And the problem is always with to book these, you have to book them out a year in advance.
Oh, yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Before you can even think about getting someone else, you're gonna be way ahead of the game, in advance.
It's the most packed I ever see the bay.
I know.
July 4th,
Well,
right?
Absolutely.
Most packed I've
I
ever
think it's
seen.
important to, just about everyone, to keep the patriotic
Yeah,
purposes going.
so it's not technically a change, it's just amending it to be the full amount every year upfront, correct?
Yeah, they changed the bottom line by putting the full amount.
Right.
In the
Yeah,
proposal.
To
So-
expand on that, the consensus was that they felt that the public, if anybody ever really dug in deep and looked at each line item, that the public should be aware just how much is really spent on fireworks. That it could be misconstrued, that it's only costs us 12 grand or whatever it was that was in there before. Or 20 grand, I think was the baseline. I can't
20.
remember now, but
Yeah.
but to show that it's a big sum of money, and
It is.
I think everybody on the board, on the committee is all for it. I mean, they don't want to see it cut back. They
No.
want to
No,
make
generally,
sure that
no.
we keep getting our fireworks.
Yep.
Okay. You need a vote on this.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, because this was the only one that we had that kicked back to us.
Right, it's the only one that changed.
Okay.
So you are looking for the board to either agree or disagree with that change? Is that what I understand?
Yes.
And that, and that $12,000 on our budget represents how much of an impact on the tax rate?
Oh, it's
Like-
not, I can't even go out that far.
That's a lot, that's a lot of zeros after the decimal point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I expected you to know that off the top of your head.
Not at this hour of the night.
Mm.
Okay, so do we have a motion to,
I'll make a motion, we amend the patriotic purposes operating budget for the 2025 season totaling to $21,190.
No,
No?
33, it's the
to
next.
33,990?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at
Yeah.
the proposed, sorry, $33,990.
Which is basically adding
which is adding $12,800 to the $21,190 as was approved prior
I'll second
by
that.
the budget committee. Why didn't you do it?
I'll second those two motions.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's been a rough day.
Also on the table, there are two budgets that are stapled together and highlighted at the top. First, please look at the one that it says Water Department.
Mhm.
What this is these are the default budgets that were prepared. The reason I'm gonna bring these up, we'll talk about them real quick, and if the board feels comfortable, we can vote on them. I'll tell you, the Water Department hasn't changed. The default is the default from last year.
Okay.
So there is no changes recommended or requested for the Water Department. The default remains the same.
Have any other questions from anyone?
There's no wage increase?
No, the wages don't go in the default because they're not approved.
Okay.
So it actually, the budget, total budget stays the same as last year.
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the Water Department 2025 budget at $538,474.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The next one is the operating budget, default budget. And we'll go through, I will show you, there's only 3 sections that change. First one is on page 2. And you see in those lines at the end, that's where the reasons are, the reasons for it changing. And you'll see in election and registration budget, there are several changes, but they're decreases.
Yeah.
And they're decreases because we have half as many elections as actually, yeah, half as many elections as we had
This year.
this year.
Yeah.
So
Those
that
are all
decreased the budget to reflect the actual number of elections we have. Contracted services went up, and that had to go up because of the voting machines. So after elections, the next one is benefits on page 4. And again, on the right-hand side, it tells you why that they have to change. Obviously, federal law requires that we do the first 3, FICA, Medicare, health, dental. Our local RSA 40:13 covers New Hampshire retirement responsibilities. And our 457 retirement plans are local policy that were voted in years ago. And then again, the last one is New Hampshire retirement. That's the second section. And then the final and third section that changed is all the way to page 8. And again, that one is just insurances. By RSA 40:13 as well, you have to provide unemployment compensation, workers' compensation, insurance.
Which department is that? You said page 8.
It's insurances.
Insurance is all right. Sorry,
Oh, that's okay.
I'm having trouble finding it.
I was trying to find it. There we go.
Still not seeing it. You said page 8, insurance.
Oh, there we go.
There it is. Got it. Thank you.
Yes,
Quick question, right? And-
sure.
And I'm probably missing something here, but with a default budget, is that not supposed to be the current year's budget with only contractually required adjustments?
It's contractually required, but also by law.
By law.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
why the RSA is stated over there because by law, we're required, we're mandated.
Well, I'm not one to complain about a decrease, but why would we decrease the election budget? Why wouldn't we? just
Because
default to this?
the election budget is in the funding that we're required to provide. is by law. It's like if we didn't have the funding, the town couldn't say we're not gonna, support the elections. We have to. But that goes both ways. So if it was a year where we had increased elections by law, we would allow that we would increase our election one.
Okay.
But because we're going to a decrease, it has to go both ways.
We can't keep the extra money after the.
Yeah, it's considered it's considered like a one-time purchase where the year before it was a one-time, we're done with all those extra elections.
Yeah.
So they
Okay.
make us cut
All
that
right, I
back.
got you. Thank you.
Yep.
So by federal law, it only went up $207,020, $264.
Yeah. No, it didn't go up.
It
It
didn't go
might
up.
be at all.
I mean, a lot, but it's not a lot.
Yeah.
No, than that. 9 point.
And the big one's insurances.
Yeah,
Nothing really we could do
yeah,
about it.
so not, yeah.
That and
Not
the
high
retirement
finance.
system contribution.
We're not that high on the board.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the proposed default budget for 2025, representing an increase of $207,264 for a total of $9,729,012.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's
Very good.
approved. That's approved.
Thank you. And that's all I had for budgets tonight.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, never mind.
okay.
It's wrong section.
Also, for number 5, I'd like to have a discussion on the holiday schedule. And Seth, if you could come up and assist us with this a little bit.
Wait a minute, number 5?
Yes,
Snuck that one in.
Did sneak that one in.
Yeah.
yes, I snuck that one in.
You gotta watch those.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? That is my apology. No, I'm actually gonna be bringing that up in selectmen reports, which
We're at now.
we're at now anyway, but usually I start with you and go down.
Still
So,
snuck
all
it
right,
in.
we're gonna continue. Recently, we've had to field quite a few phone calls from the residents and the taxpayers on closures and trying to understand the schedule that we have and how we notify everyone. I think the biggest issue we have is that we sometimes lack in our notifications prior to closures. And one of these incidents was this Monday with the transfer station of not really a good explanation prior to Monday or over the weekend of notification that the transfer station would be closed for not only the holiday, but the time that they're normally closed during the week. And for the floating day, that was applied for Monday, thus making the whole week close from Monday to Friday. And I think a lot of people were taken back by that and by not having enough notification and so people could prepare and go to the facility to take care of their needs. A lot of people were upset that they had to wait until next weekend now
Right.
to be able to get rid of their things if they didn't go on Friday and Saturday. A lot of them work Friday and Saturdays.
Right.
And Sundays, they may, for whatever reason, not be able to go. But I'd like to see that this really doesn't happen again and come up with the best solution that we can to have proper notification either here at Town Hall on Main Street, so everyone knows.
Yep.
Maybe by using one of the digital signs out front here, or at the transfer station, or wherever it's needed for a specific time, because sometimes we have to have 2 notifications because a lot of the departments are closing for the holidays.
Right.
So I'm looking to you to see if you have suggestions of how we can remedy this in the future.
Right. I apologize. I was unaware of this list of holidays. I will take that one on the chin. It was not put out there very well. As far as being advertised, what days were off, and I'll take that. Monday, I sent Josh an email and put the rest of these dates. They are now on the town's general calendar on the website, as well as on the solid waste pages. It's on the side, upcoming days. So these are now posted there on the town website in 2 different places. It was posted on the Facebook page, our Facebook page as well. I agree, it needs to be posted in more places, and looking to next year, I'll put together a list of these same holidays. They fall on a couple different days. I think there's 5 of them that fall outside of regular days. They fall on a Tuesday or a Thursday. I know there's 5 for next year, so I'll put together a list and I'll bring it to you guys, and we can go over and see which way is gonna work best. I can see putting one on a Monday and one on a Friday does kind of leave a long time for the transfer.
Well,
station.
yeah, and I hate to say, and I hate to be I mean, we're, as a selectman, we're ultimately responsible. And I'm speaking for myself, that falls on us. And we need to, pay more attention close to that. I'm not gonna pass the buck to anybody. That falls on us. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't ever want to see a 5-day closure
Okay.
with any of the departments. And I don't know exactly how we work the floating day, if we can change it a different way, but we look at the calendar year to year, prior to the year,
Yeah.
all the holidays, and so that we never come across where we actually have closures for 5 days in a row with any of our departments. We need to, look into this more closely, for the floating days especially.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just to add a little more to this. So, when I came in this morning, unfortunately I had taken yesterday off, so I didn't find out about the situation until I came in on Tuesday. I mean, this morning, and Stacy advised me. And I will take that as well. I was aware of this list. It came out last year, and I apologize. I was not aware that it was not visibly posted the way it should have been. And that should have been something I did with Seth anyways. But based on what had taken place, we had a lengthy conversation. One of the other things that I told Seth that we really should be looking at, and I think the people at the employees at the transfer station, I think would be agreeable to, is not necessarily looking at taking away the floaters are given because they can't take certain holidays off. And we're just compensating so that they don't lose out like the other employees. But I don't necessarily think we need to close the transfer station. I know a while back, before policies changed, when I was still at the police department, we used to give floaters. And they used to give them as earned time, but you could take it anytime you wanted, like a vacation day or a bonus day, but we didn't close the department. And I think that's what we can do moving forward with the solid waste, is they may earn that credit, but we can handle, with one employee takes a day off, we can still run the
Still run
transfer
it.
station.
That's right.
And provide the services. And I think that's probably a good way moving forward, and Seth's gonna look at how that best applies.
That's a much better use for the floating days,
I
to
hope so.
rotate like that, I
And
think.
so it's not the whole department off on one day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, I believe there's 5 days for 25 that fall in there. They fall on a Tuesday or a Thursday.
Yeah.
The other thing sorry, what's that?
The highway department used to do that.
Yeah, there used to, so the town used to give floating holidays.
Right.
And they went away with doing the floating because they were getting hard to track town-wide.
Yeah.
And then it was, it was just earned time. I mean, we didn't call it a floater anymore. Solid waste has always just been a little tricky because of the hours that
Yeah.
they're open and the
Right.
hours they work. But again, in the past, they've always been compensated one way or another, and it wasn't necessarily this way. This was a proposal that was not like the years prior, and something that, the old DPW director had wanted to try moving forward. I think we probably can improve upon that, not knowing that this was coming, or not seeing this coming ahead of time. The other thing I'd like to throw out there and just see what the board's feeling is on it. But, given how much surfaces from the solid waste center and how important it is to any community, I don't know how the board would feel about actually looking at a permanently fixed mounted informational sign. Because I think that there's a lot of information that could be put out to the public, not just about closures, but I'm talking about
Everything.
anything. Even
Yeah.
notifications going up to voting, notifications for any other community events, rabies clinics, anything. It's just, over the last years, I mean, when I was down at the police department, I wasn't exposed to as much of the conversation. But since I've been up here, the transfer station is
It is.
a big spot where everybody congregates.
One of the
so.
things that either they come to town hall for business or what they, periodically, but
Mhm.
they go to the transfer station every week.
Yes,
And,
Yep.
and they take care of what they need to take care of and recycle. I think it's important from here on that we have plenty of notice for any kind of closures.
I like the idea of the sign up there. That's
But-
actually a pretty good idea.
yeah, well,
Wheels for
One on
now,
wheels,
go.
having a sign, a sign that we can change.
mhm.
Yeah,
And they
I
can
mean-
easily see, we put it out a week in advance.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks in advance, whatever we need for the holidays.
Right.
So they know exactly what we're doing for Christmas and New Year's and 4th of July and all these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we
it-
can utilize highway sign for now,
Mhm.
when they're not using it, we can post messages up there, which we do for like the elections and stuff we have in the past. so.
Yeah, we might be able to piggyback on, the fire chief just did a bunch
Just
of
what
research.
I was thinking.
Yeah, he just got some, he'll
Get
be
it
coming
moving.
back. Yeah, he'll be coming back in front of the board. So I think in the interim before next meeting, we might be able to piggyback on that because they have a large sign.
Yes.
I don't think we need something that big.
No.
But
no.
if we got, the same type of sign in a smaller scale, yeah, maybe we could
Yeah.
kind of get a better deal that way.
And movable. I mean, I think I think it's something that should be, I hate to say it, but on wheels. So that we can use it at various different places, not just the transfer station.
But
Unless
we got the highway
we have-
signs that can satisfy that, but I think the idea
least
of
that's
a
one, too.
Yeah, yeah.
stationary sign at the transfer station.
Well,
It's
yeah.
got all the latest. I think that makes a lot.
That's
of
very
sense.
important there too, but I know that there's a lot of people that, and a lot of the other departments also we could have signage for, so they know what upcoming things are that are happening with each department. So, I think it's very important at the transfer station. My whole thing is, I'm just asking, and I'm blaming ourselves, the selectmen, for dropping the ball on it, not paying close enough attention on the closures and the holidays, that we need to have better preparations for it.
All right,
What I'm
I'll
saying.
go over the list of holidays and I'll come up with the ones that are following those timelines and we can have a discussion about it.
Yeah, when will we see the proposed 25 schedule?
It'll be coming either probably by the next meeting.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
meeting. Yeah.
Because we'll probably get some information about a sign
Okay.
and some information about
Which days?
proposed holidays for next year.
Mhm.
And then we'll get them out early.
Yep.
And post it on everything.
That way there we can accommodate everyone accordingly.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Problem? Yep, thanks, Seth.
Okay, Nick,
We had a very eventful planning board meeting. I saw most of you in attendance, everybody. There was quite a few issues going on and we had, Cherry Valley project came before us again and then Eagles Rest and CIP and, it was a good meeting. Packed house, went well though, very well.
I have nothing at this time.
Richard?
We had our monthly hazardous waste meeting. All is well in that regard. And I think we're very close, and you might know more, Ryan, about our new roof for our Wolfboro facility.
Yes, the last update that I got from the director, over there was the trusses had been delivered. The machine is on site for the footings and they're supposed to kick off after Turkey Day. So,
Sounds
but the
good.
most important thing is all the trusses are there.
And they're in the right place.
Yes, and they're in the right place.
True.
Yeah, Budget Committee met last week and we finished up the budgets and went through everything. And I think the next meeting scheduled is to go over kind of a summary of the whole thing.
Excellent. Good. Thank you. All right, administrative reports.
All right. First of all, I got two things on the table for you, and these are just informational. So there is a draft copy of the 2025 proposed warrant articles. This is just for your review, to start looking at them, see if you have questions, or if you have suggestions. Again, this is a draft. Most of it is in proper form, but they do have to go to legal and they have to go to DRA. So I just don't want to give you the misconception that nothing will change. But these are pretty consistent, and this is also consistent with the CIP requests that came forward. All the numbers are based on their recommendations as well. Just to give you a good example, the town operating budget, right now that has that offset by the 531,303 of the FEMA reimbursements. That could change based on the other payment that we're waiting to come in, and if the board chooses to do more or less. Again, I'm trying to not get you in one night to start going through all these and seeing them for the first time. So we have a preliminary draft, and I just wanted to give them to you, give you a little background, and let you digest it till we have a chance to go down and go through every single one of them, and I get the feedback from DRA. These are pretty consistent, though. There's not very much that's new. Okay. The second thing that you have on the table, and again, this is a big proposal, so I wanted to give it to you ahead of time. You got a memo from the finance manager. One of the things that has happened recently is our BMSI finance software that we've used forever has been bought out and is gone to a new company. The new company has decided that there's going to be a substantial increase in the cost. Not to mention that we've had problems because since they sold out, we're not getting the support that we need. The new company that has taken over is called G-Works. And the finance manager has said just one portion of our fee has gone up almost $6,000. So what she has is she has met with several finance companies, software companies, to find out what software is available for municipal purposes. They will both do payroll, AP, and also help with the budgetary process and presentations for upcoming budgets. So after meeting, she's been meeting with people since we got word for several months now. But she does have a proposal she'd like the board to take a look at from MRI. Municipal Resources Incorporated is based out of Meredith. It's a well-known municipal resource company, provides all sorts of resources, but they have developed a new finance software that they've been instituting across New Hampshire. And all of their support and local people are right down the road. But they have an entire proposal for you folks to look over at your leisure. And the finance manager is planning on attending the next meeting to discuss it with you. But again, it was a lengthy read, so I wanted to get it to you tonight.
Okay.
So you could have it to look over.
Thank you.
And the last thing I have is just an update for the board. I had a meeting this morning with Seth and some other individuals from conservation in regards to, I think I mentioned to you that we were applying again for the 319 grant to help out Hills Pond with the stormwater runoff coming off of 140 and School Street. So there has been a little bit of a change of gears, but it's been a positive one for the town. So we did not get the 319 grant for the third year in a row. It is a competitive one and we just have not ranked high enough on it. But their New Hampshire Lakes has received an excessive amount of ARPA funds for projects that have not been funded. So we were notified that New Hampshire Lakes, in conjunction with DES, are going to fund $100,000 for that project. So we had a meeting this morning with Dana Huff, like I said, Seth, myself, the conservation chair, another conservation member, and a gentleman from New Durham who's worked on several watershed projects and the 319 grant and donated his time to help us out, Fred. And he was here as well. We all met this morning and talked with both representatives from DES and New Hampshire Lakes to get started on the final application and proposal. So we have been approved for this. Final application is, I believe they said it was due January 7th, I think it was 10th. So, and the benefit to going in this way is that our project would begin 6 to 7 months earlier than if we had gotten the 319 grant.
Okay.
So we will be, looking in very good shape to be able to get that,
Excellent.
finally get that project
Excellent. Good.
underway and done. So I wanted to
good
update you
news.
on that. So
Excellent.
that's all I had.
Very good, thank you. Okay, approval of November 12th, 2024 public session.
I make a motion, we approve the November 12th, 2024 public session minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, the approval for November 18th, 2024 public session.
I will make another motion, we approve the November 18th, 2024 public session minutes.
I'll make another second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Approved. Consent agenda. Approval.
I move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain just because I haven't seen it, the details on it.
One abstention.
It's 30 pages. I'll read it.
You got that statement? Okay, thank you. Okay, request for appointments. We have one. If I can find it.
I don't think we, no.
Don't we? Oh, I'm sorry, we don't.
What was the?
That,
Yeah, that was.
no, we've already done it. We're all set with that. Public input? Seeing no one, I'll close to public input. And at this time, we'll enter into non-pub. I make a motion to enter into non-public meeting per RSA 91-A:3(2).
Second. No.
Is that the end? Drew?
Drew, yes.
Dick, yes.
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 Yes. Okay, we're now in